Chapter 1: Shadows of Descent. In the heart of Duskmire, a city perpetually cloaked in darkness, the secrets whispered among the shadows had long held sway. This was a place where treachery thrived, and alliances were forged as swiftly as they crumbled. Within the labyrinthine streets and concealed alleys, two figures emerged as notorious figures in this world of intrigue and darkness: Morgana and Lucius. Morgana, with her sapphire eyes that seemed to drink in the shadows, was a mistress of deception. Her allure and enigmatic charm made her a legend among the city's underworld. Her path was one of shadows and subterfuge, and she had risen to power through cunning and ambition. Her influence extended like the tendrils of a creeping vine, reaching into every corner of the city. Lucius, her counterpart, was equally enigmatic but with a different aura. His piercing gaze and quicksilver agility made him a formidable adversary in a city where survival was a constant battle. Yet, beneath the surface, he held a secret, a love that burned as intensely as the city's unending night. He had become Morgana's confidant, her partner in crime, and the keeper of her deepest desires. Their paths had crossed in a world where trust was a rare and fleeting commodity. It had been a chance encounter in a dimly lit tavern, where Morgana had been orchestrating a complex scheme to oust a rival faction leader. Lucius, drawn to her like a moth to a flame, had offered his assistance, unknowingly sealing their fate. Their alliance had been forged in shadows, and in each other they found a kindred spirit. But as they delved deeper into the city's treacherous underbelly, their bond grew into something more, a love that defied the very darkness that had brought them together. Their journey, a descent into the heart of Duskmire's malevolence, had only just begun. The city's shadows concealed secrets and dangers beyond imagination, and Morgana and Lucius were about to discover that in a world where betrayal was the norm, their love would be their greatest strength and their most profound vulnerability. As the moon cast its pale light over the city, Morgana and Lucius stood at the precipice of a love story entwined with treachery and redemption. In the depths of Duskmire's darkness, their fates were sealed, and the shadows of their descent beckoned them forward into a world where love and betrayal danced an intricate and perilous waltz. Chapter 2: A Sinister Courtship. In the days that followed their fateful meeting beneath the tower, Morgana and Lucius began a dance of intrigue that sent ripples through the criminal underworld of Duskmire. Their alliance was clandestine, their motives concealed even from each other. Yet, with every stolen glance and whispered secret, their connection deepened. Morgana's arcane abilities proved invaluable to Lucius's thieving endeavors. With a mere wave of her hand, she could shroud them in an ethereal cloak of darkness, rendering them invisible to the city's vigilant guards. Her spells of misdirection and illusion allowed Lucius to slip through locked doors and bypass traps with ease. Lucius, in turn, taught Morgana the art of deception and subterfuge. He showed her how to read the subtle signs of a mark's vulnerability, how to coax secrets from trembling lips, and how to disappear into the labyrinthine alleyways of Duskmire when danger loomed. As their partnership flourished, so too did the sparks of attraction between them. It was a love born in the shadows, a forbidden flame that neither could extinguish. Their stolen moments were filled with stolen kisses, their bodies entwined in the darkness as they shared secrets and desires. Yet, with every stolen kiss, doubt gnawed at the edges of their hearts. Each knew that love in their world was a liability, a weakness that their enemies would exploit without hesitation. They could trust each other no more than they could trust the treacherous city that was their home. One evening, as they stood on the precipice of a daring heist, Morgana spoke in hushed tones, her voice tinged with uncertainty. "Lucius, do you ever wonder if we are playing a dangerous game, one that could end in our downfall?" Lucius, his gaze fixed on the looming mansion they were about to infiltrate, replied with a wry smile. "My dear Morgana, our entire lives have been a dangerous game. We are but players, dancing on the edge of a knife. Love may be a risk, but it is a risk worth taking, for it is the only light that pierces the darkness of our existence." Morgana's heart ached with both fear and longing. She knew that Lucius spoke the truth, but the truth did little to assuage the doubts that haunted her. As they prepared to embark on their latest endeavor, she made a silent vow to herself, to protect their love at all costs, even if it meant betraying the one she held dearest. Little did she know that, in the treacherous labyrinth of their world, the shadows of betrayal were already closing in, and their love would soon face its most formidable test. Chapter 3: Entangled Ambitions. The city of Duskmire thrived on ambition. Its dark streets were a labyrinthine playground for those who sought power and riches, and Morgana and Lucius were no exceptions. As their partnership flourished, their ambitions became increasingly entangled, creating a web of deceit and intrigue that threatened to ensnare them both. Their latest target was Lord Darien, a wealthy nobleman whose illicit dealings had made him a pariah among the city's elite. He possessed a coveted artifact, the Eye of Shadows, rumored to grant its wielder immense power. Morgana and Lucius had set their sights on this prize, convinced that it could elevate them to a position of unparalleled influence. As they planned their heist, Morgana's thoughts were torn between her love for Lucius and her hunger for power. She knew that the Eye of Shadows could grant her abilities beyond her wildest dreams, and she longed to wield such power. But she also knew that the artifact was a dangerous prize, one that had driven its previous owners to madness. Lucius, on the other hand, saw the heist as an opportunity to secure their future together. He envisioned a life far from the shadows, where they could revel in their love without fear of betrayal. He believed that the Eye of Shadows could provide them with the means to escape Duskmire's clutches and build a new life in a distant land. Their differing motivations simmered beneath the surface as they infiltrated Lord Darien's opulent mansion. Morgana's sorcery concealed them from the watchful eyes of the guards, and Lucius's nimble fingers made short work of the locked doors and cunning traps. They moved as one, their trust in each other absolute, or so they thought. Finally, they reached the chamber where the Eye of Shadows lay encased in a shimmering, protective barrier. Morgana's eyes gleamed with avarice as she approached the artifact, her fingers itching to claim it. Lucius, however, hesitated, his gaze fixed on Morgana with a mixture of desire and apprehension. As Morgana reached out to touch the barrier, a voice echoed in her mind, a sinister whisper that sent shivers down her spine. "Are you prepared to pay the price for ultimate power, Morgana?" She faltered, torn between her ambition and her love for Lucius. In that moment, her decision would shape the course of their destiny. Lucius, sensing her hesitation, stepped forward and placed a gentle hand on her shoulder. "Morgana, remember what we are to each other. Remember the love that binds us. Power is fleeting, but love is eternal." Morgana's heart ached with the weight of her choice. She turned away from the Eye of Shadows, her hand trembling. "You're right, Lucius. Our love is worth more than any power. Let us leave this place and face whatever consequences may come." With their hearts entwined and their priorities clear, they retreated from the mansion, leaving behind the allure of ultimate power. Little did they know that their decision would set in motion a chain of events that would test the strength of their love and the depths of their loyalty. As they vanished into the night, the shadows of betrayal and ambition continued to weave their intricate dance, casting a long and foreboding shadow over their future. Chapter 4: Whispers in the Dark. The night air was thick with tension as Morgana and Lucius retreated from Lord Darien's mansion, their decision to forsake the Eye of Shadows weighing heavily on their hearts. It was a choice born of love, a choice to protect the fragile bond that had grown between them in the shadows of Duskmire. But even as they walked away from ultimate power, they couldn't escape the relentless whispers of temptation that followed them. In the days that followed, rumors of their failed heist reached the ears of the city's criminal elite. The Eye of Shadows was no ordinary artifact, and those who coveted it would stop at nothing to possess it. Morgana and Lucius knew they had become targets, and their love had made them vulnerable in ways they had never imagined. As they lay low in their hidden sanctum, Lucius couldn't help but wonder if their decision had been a grave mistake. "Morgana," he began, his voice tinged with doubt. Was our love worth the sacrifice of power? Are we condemned to remain in the shadows forever? Morgana, her gaze fixed on the flickering candlelight, sighed softly. Lucius, power is a double-edged sword. It can elevate us to great heights, but it can also consume us from within. Our love is the one thing that sets us apart from the darkness of this world. We must protect it at all costs. But the allure of power refused to release its hold on them. Unbeknownst to each other, they began to receive secret messages, tempting offers from mysterious benefactors who promised the means to acquire the Eye of Shadows. The whispers in the dark grew louder, feeding their desires and sowing the seeds of doubt. One evening, as Lucius returned from a clandestine meeting, he found Morgana alone in their dimly lit sanctum, a letter clutched in her hand. Her eyes held a glint of trepidation as she handed it to him. "This arrived for you," she said, her voice barely above a whisper. "It speaks of a plan, a way to obtain the Eye of Shadows without risking our love." Lucius took the letter, his heart pounding in his chest. The words on the parchment promised power beyond imagination, but he knew that accepting such an offer would come at a steep price. He glanced at Morgana, his love for her warring with the temptation before him. "Morgana," he said slowly, "we must tread carefully. This path could lead us to the very thing we sought to avoid, betrayal." Morgana nodded, her eyes reflecting his concern. "I know, Lucius, but we are backed into a corner. If we refuse, we may never be safe in Duskmire again. If we accept, we risk losing ourselves." In the darkness of their sanctuary, a heavy silence settled between them as they grappled with the impossible choices before them. Love and ambition waged a fierce battle in their hearts, and the shadows of betrayal closed in, threatening to engulf them both. Their fate hung in the balance, a precarious dance between love and temptation, as they pondered the path that would define their future. Chapter 5: Passions and Ploys. As the days turned into weeks, Morgana and Lucius found themselves ensnared in a web of intrigue spun by the mysterious benefactors who had promised them a path to the Eye of Shadows. The city of Duskmire, with its shifting alliances and treacherous underbelly, had become a labyrinth of deceit, and they were its unwitting players. Each secret meeting, each whispered promise, deepened their entanglement in a game of high stakes and perilous consequences. Morgana's arcane skills and Lucius's cunning were put to the test as they carried out a series of heists, stealing rare artifacts and sensitive information for their enigmatic patrons. But with each successful mission, the whispers of temptation grew louder. The power they sought seemed within reach, and the allure of the Eye of Shadows became an obsession that threatened to consume them both. One night, as they stood on the precipice of their most audacious heist yet, Morgana's eyes were clouded with doubt. "Lucius," she said, her voice trembling, "I fear that we have become pawns in a game we cannot control. These benefactors, who are they, and what do they truly want with the Eye of Shadows?" Lucius, his fingers tracing the contours of a lockpick, sighed heavily. "I share your concerns, Morgana. The more we delve into this web of intrigue, the less we understand. But we cannot turn back now. Our lives are bound to this path, and we must see it through." Their mission led them to the heart of Duskmire's forbidden catacombs, where the Eye of Shadows was said to be hidden. The catacombs were a labyrinthine maze, filled with traps and guardians that had thwarted countless adventurers before them. But Morgana and Lucius were undeterred, their love and determination driving them forward. As they neared their goal, a chilling voice echoed through the shadows, a voice that seemed to emanate from the very walls of the catacombs. "You have come far, Morgana and Lucius, but the true test awaits you." The voice belonged to a hooded figure, shrouded in darkness, who emerged from the depths of the catacombs. Morgana and Lucius exchanged wary glances, their hands poised for action. "Who are you?" Lucius demanded, his voice steady despite the unease that gripped him. The hooded figure's lips curled into a malevolent smile. "I am the guardian of the Eye of Shadows, and you have been led here by design. The power you seek can be yours, but first, you must prove your loyalty." With those words, the catacombs came alive with traps and illusions, testing the duo's skills and trust in one another. Morgana and Lucius navigated the deadly obstacles, their love for each other, and their determination to claim the Eye of Shadows their guiding light. But as they drew closer to their prize, they couldn't shake the feeling that they were merely pieces on a chessboard, and the true nature of their benefactor's agenda remained shrouded in darkness. As they approached the final challenge, the shadows of betrayal loomed larger than ever, threatening to engulf them in their malevolent embrace. Chapter 6: The Pact Unveiled. In the heart of the catacombs, Morgana and Lucius faced the culmination of their perilous journey, their love tested against the relentless trials designed by the hooded figure who claimed to be the guardian of the Eye of Shadows. The catacombs seemed to come alive, as if the very walls conspired against them, and the weight of their choices pressed upon them like an unbearable burden. The final challenge was a chamber veiled in an eerie, otherworldly glow. At its center, a pedestal cradled the coveted Eye of Shadows, a dark, crystalline orb that pulsed with an unsettling energy. The Guardian, cloaked in shadows, watched their every move with a malevolent anticipation. "You have come far," the Guardian repeated, their voice echoing in the chamber. "But to claim the Eye, you must make a choice." Lucius and Morgana exchanged wary glances, their hearts heavy with uncertainty. The Guardian continued, their words dripping with cryptic meaning. "One of you may take the Eye and wield its power, while the other must forsake their ambitions forever." The weight of the decision hung in the air like a noose. Lucius, his eyes fixed on the Eye of Shadows, felt the allure of ultimate power tugging at his very soul. The promises of wealth, influence, and the chance to escape the shadows whispered to him like sirens in the night. Morgana, on the other hand, was torn between her love for Lucius and her own hunger for power. She had once believed that love was worth any sacrifice, but now the Eye of Shadows held the promise of unimaginable abilities, the means to protect herself and Lucius from the dangers that lurked in the darkness of Duskmire. The Guardian's voice broke through their inner turmoil. "Time is of the essence. Choose, or the Eye will remain forever out of reach." Lucius and Morgana exchanged one final, agonized look, their love and ambition colliding in a maelstrom of emotions. Lucius, his voice heavy with resignation, spoke first. "Morgana, take the Eye. Wield its power and protect us from the shadows that haunt our lives." Morgana's eyes welled with tears as she reached out for the Eye of Shadows. The moment her fingers touched the crystalline surface, a surge of power coursed through her, filling her with a dark and intoxicating energy. She felt the world shift around her, the catacombs bowing to her newfound might. But as Morgana's power grew, so did the distance between her and Lucius. The love that had bound them together now seemed like a distant memory, as she became consumed by the Eye's malevolent influence. The Guardian, their hooded form a mere silhouette in the shadows, watched with a sinister satisfaction. Lucius, left powerless and abandoned, could only watch as Morgana's transformation unfolded before him. The very love that had once united them had become the catalyst for their separation. In the catacombs' haunting silence, the shadows of betrayal had finally cast their dark embrace over Morgana and Lucius. The consequences of their choices were unveiled, and the path they had chosen would lead them down a treacherous road, where love and power would collide in ways they could never have imagined. Chapter 7: Deceptions Deepen. With the Eye of Shadows now in her possession, Morgana's power had grown to unparalleled heights. She reveled in her newfound abilities, the dark energies coursing through her veins, and the promise of dominance over Duskmire's shadows. But with every step she took down this treacherous path, the distance between her and Lucius grew wider, and the love that once bound them began to wither like a fragile flower in the cold. As Morgana's power expanded, she became increasingly consumed by the Eye's malevolent influence. The darkness that had once been her ally now whispered sinister desires in her ear, urging her to embrace her newfound supremacy and forsake all else. She had become a formidable force, feared by even the most powerful denizens of Duskmire. Lucius, left powerless and bereft, watched with a heavy heart as the woman he loved transformed into something unrecognizable. The Morgana he had known, with her sapphire eyes and gentle smile, had been replaced by a being of cruelty and ambition. She had forsaken their love, and in its place, power had become her only mistress. One night, as they stood atop the tallest spire of Duskmire, the city's dark skyline spread out before them like a tapestry of shadows, Morgana turned to Lucius with a cold, calculating gaze. "Lucius," she said, her voice devoid of the warmth it once held. "Our love was a weakness. It kept us in the shadows, tethered to mediocrity. With the Eye of Shadows, I can reshape this city in my image." Lucius, his heart heavy with sorrow, tried to reach out to her. "Morgana, don't do this. We were meant to be together, to escape this life and find happiness." But Morgana's laughter echoed through the night, chilling Lucius to the bone. "Happiness, Lucius? Happiness is for the weak. With power, I can ensure our survival. I can make Duskmire bow before us." Her words were like a dagger to Lucius's heart. He realized that the woman he loved had become a stranger, consumed by her lust for power. With a heavy heart and a tearful farewell, Lucius turned and disappeared into the night, leaving behind the woman who had once been his everything. Morgana, now fully in control of the Eye of Shadows, set her sights on a ruthless campaign to dominate Duskmire. Her power was unmatched, her ambition insatiable, and her love for Lucius a distant memory. She forged alliances with the darkest forces in the city, toppling rival factions and asserting her dominance over all who dared to oppose her. But as her reign of darkness spread, Morgana couldn't escape the gnawing emptiness that had taken root in her heart. The more power she gained, the more she longed for the love she had forsaken. She realized, too late, that her pursuit of power had come at a devastating cost. Lucius, now a shadow in the city he once called home, vowed to find a way to break the Eye's hold on Morgana and restore the love they had lost. In the depths of Duskmire's darkness, he embarked on a perilous journey to confront the very forces that had torn them apart. As the city's fate hung in the balance, the shadows of betrayal and love intertwined in a complex dance. And the true test of their bond had yet to reveal itself. Chapter 8: Treachery's Temptation. Lucius delved deeper into the heart of Duskmire, seeking answers to the dark forces that had ensnared Morgana and torn their love asunder. He knew that the Eye of Shadows held the key to her transformation, and he was determined to confront the malevolent guardian who had orchestrated their tragic fate. In the hidden corners of the city, Lucius encountered those who had been touched by the Eye's power, their hearts consumed by ambition and their loyalty pledged to Morgana's dominion. They regarded him with suspicion and hostility, for they had become slaves to the very power that had seduced Morgana. Undeterred, Lucius forged uneasy alliances with the remnants of rival factions who sought to defy Morgana's rule. Together, they unraveled the cryptic clues left behind by the guardian of the Eye of Shadows, each hint leading them closer to the catacombs and the source of Morgana's transformation. As Lucius ventured deeper into the catacombs, he found himself beset by treacherous traps and illusions, each designed to test his resolve and loyalty. The Guardian's sinister presence hung in the air, a malevolent force that seemed to mock him at every turn. At the catacomb's heart, Lucius confronted the hooded figure, their identity shrouded in darkness. "You," he hissed, his voice laced with anger and despair. "You are the architect of our suffering. You turned Morgana into a monster, and I will make you pay." The Guardian's laughter echoed through the chamber, a chilling sound that sent shivers down Lucius's spine. "I am but a servant of the Eye, a vessel for its desires. Morgana's transformation was of her own choosing, as is yours." Lucius's eyes narrowed in determination. I will not succumb to the eye's temptation. I will find a way to free Morgana from its grip. The Guardian, their hooded forms shifting like a wraith, stepped forward. You underestimate the power of the eye, Lucius. It is a force that transcends mortal limitations. If you wish to save Morgana, you must make a choice, one that will test your love and loyalty to the utmost. With those words, the Guardian unveiled two objects, each holding a piece of Morgana's essence. One was a lock of her ebony hair, a symbol of their love, and the other was a dagger, a symbol of her ambition and the darkness that had consumed her. You must choose, Lucius, the Guardian intoned, between love and ambition. Only one can set Morgana free. Lucius's heart ached as he looked upon the objects, torn between his love for Morgana and the desire to free her from the eye's malevolent grasp. The Guardian watched with a twisted smile, knowing that the choice would shape the destiny of not just Morgana and Lucius, but also the fate of Duskmire itself. With trembling hands and a heavy heart, Lucius made his choice, and in that moment, the shadows of betrayal and redemption converged, casting a long and uncertain path ahead. Chapter 9: Descent into Darkness. Lucius had made his choice, and as he reached for the lock of Morgana's ebony hair, his heart was heavy with uncertainty. The Guardian of the Eye of Shadows watched with a knowing gaze, and a sinister smile crept across their lips. With the lock of hair in hand, Lucius felt a surge of emotion, a mixture of love, longing, and desperation. He knew that this was his only chance to free Morgana from the darkness that had consumed her. He looked at the Guardian, determination etched in his eyes. "Take me to Morgana," Lucius demanded, his voice resolute. "Let me use this to break the eye's hold on her." The Guardian nodded, their hooded forms shifting like a shadow. "Very well, Lucius. But beware, for the path to Morgana's heart is a treacherous one." Without another word, the Guardian led Lucius deeper into the catacombs, where the very essence of Morgana's transformation was imprisoned. The air grew heavy with dark energy as they approached a chamber bathed in an eerie, crimson glow. Inside, a dark silhouette writhed in torment. Morgana, her form distorted by the eye's influence, was trapped within a crystalline prison. Her once vibrant eyes were now empty, and her voice, when she spoke, carried the weight of suffering. "Lucius, you came." Lucius approached the prison, his heart aching at the sight of the woman he loved in such agony. "Morgana, I'm here to free you. This lock of your hair holds the power to break the eye's hold on you." The Guardians stepped forward, their voice a haunting whisper. "To free Morgana, you must use the power of your love to shatter the prison. But be warned, Lucius, the eye will not relinquish its grip easily." Lucius closed his eyes, clutching the lock of hair tightly. He summoned all the love and devotion he felt for Morgana, letting it flow through him like a river of light. With a determined cry, he pressed the lock of hair against the prison, and a blinding flash of light erupted from the collision. For a moment, it seemed as if the darkness would consume them all, but then, with a deafening shatter, the prison shattered into countless shards. Morgana fell to the ground, her form returning to its former self, but she was unconscious. Lucius rushed to her side, cradling her in his arms. He looked at the Guardian, his eyes filled with gratitude and determination. "Thank you for your guidance. Now we must escape this place before the eye's power engulfs us." The Guardian nodded, their task fulfilled. "Go, and may your love be your strength and your shield." As Lucius carried Morgana out of the catacombs, he knew that their journey was far from over. The Eye of Shadows still existed, and its malevolent influence would continue to cast its long shadow over Duskmire. But with Morgana by his side once more, he was willing to face any challenge, knowing that their love was the one force that could overcome even the darkest of temptations. Their path ahead was uncertain, but as they emerged into the moonlit night, hand in hand, the shadows of betrayal began to recede, and the possibility of redemption beckoned them forward. Chapter 10: fractured alliances. With Morgana by his side, Lucius emerged from the catacombs into the moonlit night, their love rekindled and their determination unwavering. The shadows of betrayal had begun to recede, but the scars of their journey ran deep, and the city of Duskmire lay before them, still shrouded in darkness. As they made their way through the twisted alleyways and hidden corners of the city, they could feel the lingering presence of the Eye of Shadows, its malevolent energy a constant reminder of the temptations that had nearly torn them apart. But with each step, their love grew stronger, a beacon of light in a world consumed by shadows. Morgana, her strength slowly returning, leaned on Lucius for support. She had been freed from the Eye's grip, but the memories of her descent into darkness haunted her. "Lucius," she whispered, her voice filled with regret. "I'm so sorry for what I became, for the choices I made." Lucius turned to her, his eyes filled with compassion. "Morgana, we all have moments of weakness and doubt. What matters is that we found our way back to each other, and together, we can face whatever challenges lie ahead." But as they navigated the treacherous streets of Duskmire, they soon realized that their return had not gone unnoticed. The factions and allies Morgana had once forged alliances with had fractured in her absence, and a power vacuum had emerged in the wake of her transformation. Rival factions vied for control, and those who had once been her loyal servants now saw her as a threat to their own ambitions. Morgana and Lucius found themselves caught in the crossfire of a city in turmoil, where alliances were fleeting, and trust was a rare commodity. One evening, as they sought refuge in a hidden safe house, they were visited by a figure from their past, an enigmatic thief named Celine. Celine had once been a rival to Lucius but had begrudgingly formed an alliance with Morgana during her ascent to power. "I heard you were back," Celine said, her voice tinged with a mix of caution and curiosity. "Morgana, we thought you were lost to the Eye's darkness." Morgana nodded, her gaze solemn. "I was, but Lucius saved me. We seek to make amends for the chaos I caused." Celine regarded them both with a calculating gaze. "Duskmire is in turmoil, and the factions are at each other's throats. If you're truly here to restore order, we may be able to help. But trust is a rare commodity in these dark times." As Morgana, Lucius, and Celine formed an uneasy alliance, they knew that their journey was far from over. The city they loved had become a battlefield of power and betrayal, and they were determined to bring about a new era, one where love and redemption could overcome even the deepest of shadows. Their path ahead remained uncertain, but as they stood together, their resolve unwavering, they knew that the bonds of their love and the strength of their alliance would be their greatest weapons in the battle for Duskmire's soul. Chapter 11: Hearts of Stone. Duskmire, once a city shrouded in shadows, had become a battleground of power and betrayal. Morgana, Lucius, and Celine had formed an uneasy alliance in the face of the city's turmoil, their shared goal to restore order and bring an end to the chaos that threatened to consume their home. But as they delved deeper into the heart of the city's conflicts, they discovered that the road to redemption was paved with treacherous obstacles. The rival factions of Duskmire, sensing weakness in the absence of Morgana's rule, had grown bolder in their ambitions. They sought to fill the power vacuum left by her transformation, and their ruthlessness knew no bounds. Each day brought new challenges, as alliances shifted like sand in the wind, and trust was a fragile commodity. Morgana, Lucius, and Celine worked tirelessly to forge new alliances and mend fractured relationships. They navigated the intricate web of intrigue that had entangled Duskmire, using their unique skills and unwavering determination to broker uneasy truces and dispel rivalries. But the shadows of the past still loomed, and their efforts were met with suspicion and resistance. One evening, as they gathered in a dimly lit safe house, their exhaustion palpable, Morgana spoke with a heavy heart. "It's as if the entire city has turned against us. Our efforts to restore order seem futile." Lucius, his eyes filled with weariness, took her hand. "Morgana, we cannot give up. Our love and determination have already brought us through the darkest of trials. We will find a way to unite the factions and bring peace to Duskmire." Celine, ever the realist, added, "But we must also be prepared for the possibility that not everyone can be swayed. Some hearts may remain as cold and unyielding as stone." As they continued their struggle to mend the city's fractured alliances, they encountered resistance from a formidable adversary, a faction leader known as Lord Malachi. He had risen to power in the wake of Morgana's transformation and saw her return as a threat to his dominion. Lord Malachi, a man with a heart of stone and a ruthlessness that matched his ambition, refused to negotiate or compromise. His loyal followers carried out his every command without question, and he would stop at nothing to crush any opposition. Their encounters with Lord Malachi grew increasingly dangerous, as his tactics became more brutal and his thirst for power more insatiable. Morgana, Lucius, and Celine realized that they were facing an adversary who could not be swayed by reason or diplomacy. One fateful night, their conflict with Lord Malachi reached its climax in a confrontation that would test the limits of their determination and the strength of their love. In the heart of Duskmire, amidst the city's looming shadows, a battle was about to begin, one that would determine the fate of not only Morgana, Lucius, and Celine but also the future of the city itself. As they faced the heart of darkness that had taken root in Duskmire, the bonds of their love and the resilience of their alliance would be their only hope in a city where hearts had turned to stone. Chapter 12: The Battle Within. In the heart of Duskmire, amidst the looming shadows and the ever-present threat of betrayal, Morgana, Lucius, and Celine stood ready to confront Lord Malachi, the formidable leader who had risen to power in the wake of Morgana's transformation. Their alliance, born from a shared desire to restore order to the city, had brought them to this pivotal moment, a clash that would test their resolve and the strength of their love. Lord Malachi, a man with a heart as cold and unyielding as stone, had amassed a loyal following of ruthless enforcers who carried out his every command without question. His ambition knew no bounds, and he saw Morgana's return as a direct threat to his dominion over Duskmire. As the three unlikely allies faced Lord Malachi and his forces, the tension in the air was palpable, a silent battle of wills that simmered beneath the surface. Morgana, her powers honed by her experiences with the Eye of Shadows, stood at the forefront, her determination unwavering. Lucius and Celine flanked her, their skills and loyalty to each other, and their cause their greatest weapons. "Lord Malachi," Morgana began, her voice steady, "we seek to bring an end to the chaos that has gripped Duskmire. We are willing to negotiate for the good of the city." Lord Malachi, his eyes as cold as ice, sneered at her words. "Negotiation is a sign of weakness. Duskmire belongs to those who have the strength to take it." With those words, the battle began, a whirlwind of sorcery, steel, and shadows. Morgana unleashed her newfound powers, her sorcery crackling through the air like lightning. Lucius and Celine fought with a determination born from their shared history and their love for one another. But Lord Malachi's forces were unrelenting, their loyalty to their leader absolute. The battle raged on, the streets of Duskmire serving as a grim battleground where alliances were tested and hearts were put to the ultimate challenge. In the midst of the chaos, Morgana and Lucius fought side by side, their love and determination a beacon of hope in the darkness. Celine, her agility and cunning unmatched, weaved through the fray, seeking opportunities to weaken Lord Malachi's forces. As the battle raged on, Lord Malachi's steely resolve began to waver. Morgana, her powers surging, approached him with a final offer of peace. "Lord Malachi, this cycle of violence must end. We can find a way to share power and restore order to Duskmire." For a moment, it seemed as though he would relent, as though the battle could be resolved through reason rather than bloodshed. But the shadows that had consumed his heart proved too deep, and with a furious cry, he launched a final, devastating attack. In the end, it was Morgana's unwavering love that prevailed. With a burst of power, she immobilized Lord Malachi, rendering him powerless and ending the conflict that had torn Duskmire apart. As the dust settled and the echoes of battle faded, Morgana, Lucius, and Celine stood victorious but weary, their alliance having weathered the ultimate test. Lord Malachi's forces, without their leader's command, scattered into the shadows, leaving behind a city forever changed. Duskmire, once shrouded in darkness and treachery, had taken a step towards the light. But the scars of their journey remained, and the path to redemption was long and uncertain. Morgana, Lucius, and Celine knew that their work was far from over, and the shadows of betrayal and redemption would continue to intertwine in the city they called home. Chapter 13: Forging a New Dawn. With Lord Malachi defeated and his forces scattered, Morgana, Lucius, and Celine stood amidst the ruins of the battle-torn streets of Duskmire. The echoes of their struggle lingered in the air, a haunting reminder of the darkness that had once enveloped the city. But now, a glimmer of hope began to shine through the cracks in the city's facade. The alliance that had formed in the face of chaos had held, and as they looked at one another, they knew that they had taken the first step toward restoring Duskmire to its former glory. Morgana's powers, once a source of temptation and corruption, were now wielded with a sense of responsibility and compassion. "Thank you, both of you," Morgana said, her voice filled with gratitude. "Without your unwavering support, I would have been lost to the darkness forever." Lucius squeezed her hand, a smile playing at the corners of his lips. "Morgana, our love has always been our strength. It guided us through the darkest of times, and it will continue to light our way." Celine, ever the pragmatist, added, "But we must not underestimate the challenges ahead. Duskmire is wounded, and it will take time to heal." As they surveyed the city's scars, they realized that their work was far from over. The factions that had once vied for power now looked to Morgana, Lucius, and Celine as potential leaders who could bring stability to Duskmire. But with that responsibility came the weight of expectations and the ever-present danger of betrayal. In the days that followed, they embarked on a campaign to unite the city's fractured factions, using their unique skills and the lessons they had learned from their journey through darkness. They negotiated alliances, mended old wounds, and worked to restore trust in a city where it had become a rare commodity. But as they worked to heal the wounds of Duskmire, they were haunted by the memories of their own journey, of love tested by temptation, of alliances forged in the face of betrayal, and of the enduring power of redemption. In the quiet moments between negotiations and battles, Morgana, Lucius, and Celine found solace in their shared bond, a bond that had overcome the greatest of trials. They knew that their love and determination were the keys to forging a new dawn for Duskmire, a city where shadows and light could coexist. As they looked toward the horizon, they saw the first rays of dawn breaking through the city's dark skyline. It was a symbol of hope, a reminder that even in the darkest of times, redemption and love could prevail. Their journey was far from over, but with each step forward, they brought Duskmire one step closer to the light. Chapter 14: A City Reborn. With each passing day, the alliance of Morgana, Lucius, and Celine worked tirelessly to mend the fractured city of Duskmire. They had become symbols of hope and stability in a place that had known only darkness and chaos for so long. The factions that had once been at odds now looked to them for guidance, and the city began its slow journey toward healing. Morgana, with her newfound control over her powers, used her magic to help rebuild the city's infrastructure and provide aid to the citizens who had suffered the most during the turmoil. Lucius, ever the strategist, worked to establish a council of representatives from each faction to ensure that the voices of all were heard in the city's governance. Celine, with her knowledge of the city's underground networks, helped root out corruption and criminal elements. But the challenges they faced were not just external. Each of them carried the scars of their own journey, of love tested by temptation, of betrayal, and of the enduring power of redemption. The memories of those trials weighed heavily on their hearts, serving as a constant reminder of the fragility of trust and the depths of darkness that could lurk within. One evening, as they stood on a balcony overlooking the city, bathed in the soft glow of lantern light, Morgana spoke of her hopes for Duskmire. "I want this city to be a place where love and redemption are not just ideals but a way of life. A place where the shadows of the past can be transformed into the light of a better future." Lucius, his gaze fixed on the city below, added, "And a place where alliances are forged not out of necessity but out of genuine trust and respect." Celine, ever the realist, nodded in agreement. "But we must remain vigilant, for the darkness that once consumed Duskmire may still lurk in its hidden corners." As they looked out over the city, they knew that their work was far from over. Duskmire's rebirth was a fragile process, one that would require dedication and sacrifice. But they also knew that with their love and determination, they could guide the city toward a brighter future. In the weeks and months that followed, Duskmire began to transform. The scars of its past began to heal, and the people found hope in the leadership of Morgana, Lucius, and Celine. The alliances they had forged were built on trust and respect, and the city's factions worked together for the common good. The shadows that had once enveloped Duskmire began to recede, replaced by the warmth of a new dawn. The city was reborn, not as a place without darkness, but as a place where the light could prevail. Morgana, Lucius, and Celine had played their part in the city's redemption, and their love had been the guiding force that had led them through the darkest of trials. As they looked out over the city, they knew that the journey of love, betrayal, and redemption had brought them to this moment, a moment where they had the power to shape the destiny of Duskmire and ensure that its future was brighter than its past. Chapter 15: Legacy of Shadows and Light. As time passed, Duskmire continued to transform under the guidance of Morgana, Lucius, and Celine. The city that had once been a place of darkness and treachery was now a beacon of hope and redemption. The scars of its turbulent past were gradually fading, replaced by the promise of a brighter future. The Council of Representatives, established by Lucius, worked diligently to address the needs and concerns of the city's diverse factions. Trust had begun to take root among the citizens, and alliances forged through genuine respect and cooperation strengthened Duskmire's foundation. Morgana's magical abilities played a crucial role in the city's recovery. She used her powers to restore the crumbling infrastructure, heal the wounds of those who had suffered, and bring light to the once shadowed corners of Duskmire. Her magic had become a symbol of hope, a reminder that even the darkest of hearts could find redemption. Celine, with her knowledge of the city's hidden networks, continued to root out corruption and criminal elements. Under her watchful eye, the city's underworld was forced to adapt to the changing times or fade into obscurity. The balance of power shifted from those who thrived on chaos to those who sought stability and progress. But Duskmire's transformation was not without challenges. The shadows that had once consumed the city still lurked in its hidden corners, waiting for an opportunity to resurface. Morgana, Lucius, and Celine remained vigilant, knowing that their work was far from over. One day, as they gathered in the council chambers, Morgana spoke of their journey and the legacy they hoped to leave behind. "We have faced the darkest of trials and emerged stronger for it. Our love, our determination, and our unwavering belief in redemption have brought us to this point." Lucius, his voice filled with conviction, added, "Duskmire's legacy will be one of transformation, a city that rose from the ashes of betrayal and darkness to become a shining example of what is possible when love and redemption are at the forefront." Celine, ever the pragmatist, concluded, "But we must remain vigilant, for the shadows may never truly disappear. It is our duty to ensure that Duskmire's legacy is one of resilience and strength." And so, as the days turned into weeks and the weeks into months, the legacy of Duskmire began to take shape, a legacy of shadows and light, of love and redemption. The city had been reborn, and the story of Morgana, Lucius, and Celine would be forever intertwined with its history. As they looked out over the city they had helped to transform, they knew that their journey was far from over. But they also knew that the bonds they had forged, the love they had shared, and the lessons they had learned would guide them through whatever challenges lay ahead. In the end, Duskmire's legacy was not just a story of a city's redemption but a testament to the enduring power of love and the indomitable spirit of those who believed in the possibility of a brighter tomorrow. The shadows of the past had given way to the light of the future, and the legacy of Duskmire would live on, a testament to the resilience of the human spirit and the capacity for love to conquer even the darkest of shadows. Please subscribe for more.